Hey guys, hi there. Sorry, just like everybody else. Although I do think I'm loads better. Um, the thing at the moment is that I have to. Yes, I'm diving in right away into the health issues because it's on everybody's mind right there. Okay, on top of everything, I think. Um, I found out that I haven't really got. I haven't. My mineral and vitamin intake wasn't what it was supposed to be. So it's just a garbage truck out there passing by, so distracted. Um, so I'm back at making like a green smoothie once a day now, using apples and kiwis and celery sticks and parsley. What else do I have in there? Raspberries, stuff, whatever I can get. Cucumber, even, as long as I get a certain amount of that. For some reason, the kiwi and the celery together and the parsley, it's enormously vitalizing. So I've had those for 2 days now, 2 consecutive days, and I can tell it's doing me a lot of good. So what happens is that because we have a really cold easterly wind at the moment here, I tend to, now I'm aware, but last Friday, for example, it was already that wind. And before that, it'd been a couple of days where the weather was relatively mild. And so I went for a walk without all the, woolens. A walk without the woolens. So I caught a cold again. And so what happens now is that even though I practice, intense breathing, like deep breathing, quite a bit, which kind of alleviates the cold symptoms in the, sinuses and things like that. I still get a lot of tonsil activity and it hurts and it's a nightmare. And I'm just, So that's, by now, it's Tuesday next. So today's Tuesday, the 24th of March, 2020. And I thought I'm just going to do another check-in here with my mug of hot water and my Nusantara tarot and I drew a couple of cards because, we just have to keep each other company somehow or other, right? I think, at least. So let me catch my breath here because also I just come back from the supermarket and the one thing that strikes me, on the internet, the only thing I have seen so far, other than the news, which can be, a bit traumatizing even, on the internet, on Facebook, on YouTube, everybody that I speak to or that I get spoken to by, makes like this huge effort to be really kind, to be, we're sharing stuff, we're, showing things, sharing jokes, stuff like that. It's really cool. The complete opposite happens at my supermarket at the moment. So we are still not on complete lockdown. The government of the Netherlands has announced more stringent measures yesterday evening, to the extent that people are now going to be fined if they're out in the street in groups and, they get spotted and playing or sports or things like that, so people are obviously suffering from this because it's, getting to them quite a bit. Funnily enough, it doesn't really get to me that much because, like I said, I've, in my previous couple of videos, I've said I've been a hermit for quite a long time and actually for most of my life. So, and I have this great advantage that my husband and I, we're really good friends. We've been together for 33 years, so I'm so lucky, to that extent. Sheesh. But what struck me just now at the supermarket is basically that there's an atmosphere of distrust here that used to be, that I feel, this is just my perspective on things, okay? It's what I think people are really doing, and what's coming out at the moment is there's a massive, massive atmosphere of distrust. And for some reason, I don't think of it, I don't feel it as a new vibration at all. It's like this vibration has been here, this emotion of distrust and basically not really knowing the other guy, and fear, I suppose, but actual active fear of the other person, right? Whoever's in front of them, they're recoiling all the time. And that used to, I think this atmosphere of distrust has always been there. Maybe because I've been a foreigner quite a lot in many years of my life. I used to be an outsider in all sorts of ways, so I'm kind of sensitive to this thing. And I kind of don't really like it, of course. Why should I like this? But what I'm trying to say basically is that the emotion has always been there, and it used to be camouflaged by people's politeness, people in shops being, to a certain extent trained to be nice, be kind, smile, be available, all sorts of ways. The milk of human kindness, And what I'm getting, so this vibration, I'm sharing this with you now, first of all, because I want to, get this, not a nice story, so I want to just get it there and see whether I can, make sense of it, really. It makes a lot of sense, really. I'm in a surroundings, my community, the place where I am, is basically a village that's been here for 150 years or so. So it's not like an old town at all. The older communities in this area of the Netherlands, of the countryside, used to be really traditional, really... Actually, there was a certain level from the 19th century onwards of, I suppose, cultural, industrial mobility and exchange with the outside world, on and off to some extent. Yes, because there were a couple of there was like a nail making and iron working industry at the canal over yonder, and that, so they needed a lot of people, workers, and there was a lot of exchange going on around that. In actual fact, a lot of the people here are basically, they're Roman Catholics in their background, at least, in how they grew up. Not very many are really all that religious at this moment, I think. And not certainly speaking about 2020 necessarily, but just in the past couple of years. I've lived here for 7 years now, so I know this area fairly well. I've been involved with the local history society recently for a couple of months, until this whole lockdown thing happened, because since I haven't gone there, been there at all in since the whole of March, and probably halfway through February I quit because I had a little flu myself, so at that point, so hence I stopped going for a while, and now of course everything's in lockdown. So people aren't, like I've said a couple of times already, people aren't used to this type of thing. It's scary, people are feeling really vulnerable. People are also infecting each other with fear, all the time. And so all that I get, all that I was aware of. It just hit me home. It hit home for me just now, really badly. I felt so unwanted in my own supermarket. Normally I even enjoy going to my supermarket because they try to make it an enjoyable experience. Shopping there and just getting my radishes and my strawberries and a croissant, and whatever. And I still had, and it's like, it's not like I was unwanted, I felt unwanted by the shop necessarily, but just by every individual person that and of course there's like 30 people in the shop at the same time because you can't avoid that. And it's fairly large. I suppose, sorry, to American standards, it would call as a teeny tiny supermarket, more like a corner shop, because things are smaller here because that's how it works. Anyway, so yeah, I was at the cashier checking out and getting my shoppings, and I was feeling like all the veneer or the varnish of civilized behavior, politeness, niceness, the way women are supposed to behave to each other. The cash register woman, who's normally someone I can get along with just fine. I like her, she likes me, I think. There was not a smile to be seen on anybody's face. It was traumatizing. I'm traumatized. As I sit here, I'm traumatized by going to the supermarket. So that's today. Yowzer. And today is the new moon in Aries, and I will link him in the description down below. I've been watching Steve Judd's astrological analyses of the situation as they are at the moment, and that's really cool. I really enjoy his videos because he's got the same sense that I have, that it's all temporary, and to a certain extent, yes, to a certain extent, we are hoping that all this will lead to bigger change in terms of the global economy and the climate, the approaches to the climate problems and all that, and social injustice and what have you, all that, it all needs to change so badly, and it isn't happening fast enough. Or basically there's lots of stuff happening, but all in, little areas where the main lines of thought in society aren't changing really fast enough. So I think Steve has got a couple of really good points. He drew my attention to the position of Chiron as well. Good intel about that. So I will stick his most recent video from this morning in my description below for you if you want to have a look at that. And maybe it's like this. I picked up a chestnut bud from the floor a couple of days ago, and he was like the dark brown little petals around, or whatever you call those. They were all shut, and you could just see a little tiny teeny bit of green coming out there. And this is a horse chestnut bud of a stick from horse chestnut trees that line the street out there towards going to the supermarket, same supermarket. And what happens is that they're covered in like this very shiny resin type substance, which is like glue, really. So what I did just now is I massaged it around for a bit without, trying not to squish it too much. And it's actually responding to that by opening up, because the glue was counterproductive. I wanted, of course, to go open like that, because it's just like a tiny stick like that and it won't last forever. But he's like being held back by the glue, which is kind of symbolic for, I think, how our ideas and how our mindset really as a whole, as a society, as humans, we're covered in a resinous substance which is preventing all the new ideas from really just going pizzow into the future and into life and into, so hence that's the theory behind this one. Other than that, I am finding my mugs of water. I'm having 4 of these basically every day, so that's about a litre. I've got a couple of slices of lemon and ginger, fresh ginger, in here at the moment, because that's fine. You can actually add those, I think, without really affecting the impact that the hot water has on the lymphatic system. Whereas actual tea it's more like the infusion has become its own purpose, and then it's not really all that available to the lymphatic system anymore. Weird, but for more on that, see my videos on the lymphatic system that I posted. So, other than that, I have a gorgeous large chunk of rose quartz that I got from the garden center, and I suppose I kind of activated this with there's another video about that I made a couple of weeks ago, where there was a field of snowdrops, and I'm really sensitive to that type of energy, and I've kind of taken out the chunk of rose quartz which I'd gotten on that same walk, at the garden centre, and then coming back through the snowdrop forest again. So I held this really close to a large clump of those snowdrops like that, and sort of communicated the energy of the snowdrop field into the rose quartz. And for some reason or other, or I remember this very well, or whatever it is, it has worked. And this rose quartz chunk actually has a different vibration from the other rose quartzes that I've around the house. So that's just something that I find really comforting, because it's a cleanse and it is affectionate at the same time, because rose quartz is always affectionate. So I'm recommending, if you have the option of going to a garden centre, they've got like a silly cheap big chunks of these, I suppose all over. I don't know what's the case in New Zealand or in the Americas or anywhere, whether you would find these, probably, because there's mountains of these, and we're breaking them all up and selling them. So hence the but this is a big friend of mine. He's sitting next to me on my table quite a lot recently, and so it's kind of helping also, with because I'm having a kind of a hard time. I almost don't dare go to shop at the moment. It's like it's weird. And I suppose it will all pass, because all things pass, don't they? So, good news. On the other hand, my Nusantara is all finished. Nusantara Tarot, there it is. So in its basket with a piece of fabric like so underneath. This is an image from the actual tarot deck, the way it's supposed to look. Nusantara is actually, it means sort of like an archipelago of islands. The islands between the two oceans of, between the seas around that area. So that's what that means. And that's the origin of the name. So on the inside of the lid, I have a piece of the fabric like so, and that's filled up. And on the inside of the actual basket, this is what it looks like at the moment, with batik Indonesian fabrics. I have, let me take those out so I can show you what that looks like, because I've lined that and filled up the lining with a bit of sheep's wool all around, so to have a bit of padding, because I thought that would, look nicer that way. So that looks cool. And these are my actual cards. So the way the cards look nowadays, they're a bit on the faded side in terms of, the printing wasn't really all that excellent. I suppose you always have to go and get a spanking new cartridge for this type of job if you really want it to. There's the Chariot right there. They're still quite recognizable. These are the backs as they are at the moment. They're slightly different, each and every one of them, because I made them by hand. I actually carved, I want backs on these, you know, I want the cards to have proper backs. They used to be just yellow cardboard. And so I was thinking, basically to my mother's spirit, like, can you tell me what kind of thing I should be using for those backs? Because I want to, you know, make a template or a stamp out of a potato, but I have to carve something out of that. What can I do? What can I carve? What subject could I carve that would be relatively simple to reproduce 78 times, right? And the thought I got was, how about a banana leaf? Because that's really ubiquitous in the tropics anyway. So they're, you know, slightly different. But these are actually stamps from this banana leaf carving on a potato, like so. So I stamped those with like a earth colored pigment paint, like so. And so that's how you got those. See? So I thought that was rather fun to do anyway, and it kept me busy, you know. So that's my deck. As it is now, I think that looks really sunny and happy and kind of tropical, and it's fine. And the cards can all, you know, fit really nicely in here. They're fairly small. It's not like you can shuffle this. You have to shuffle this like so. Is more or less how I can, you know, shuffle this particularly fairly easily, I think, without dropping everything on the floor. Only I have to shuffle it in 2 helpings, so in 2 separate piles like this. This one half and the other half I have to shuffle separately, and then I can manage with that. So that's how that works. And I must say that I'm pleased that I did this. I'm happy with the end result, and I still have to work with it to see how it goes at the moment. You know, I suppose I am waiting for new opportunities, new possibilities to work with this type of stuff. So that's it really from me at the moment. I'm hoping this is entertaining to at least some extent, and I actually managed to talk for 22 minutes. Thank you so much for being here, you guys, and best of luck to you, okay? And don't worry too much, because there's always new options coming, okay? Thank you. See you soon. Bye-bye.